Here is one of the strangest facts about the FIFA World Cup, and I want you to sit with it for a second. The number one ranked team in the world, the best team on paper going into a tournament, has only ever won the World Cup once, just once, in the entire history of this competition. That was Brazil in 2002, with a squad so loaded it was basically unfair. Ronaldo, Ronaldinho, Roberto Carlos, Rivaldo, that generation of Brazilians walked into that tournament ranked first, and they walked out with the trophy. One time in history. That's how brutal and unpredictable this tournament is. And yet, here we are at the 2026 World Cup semifinals, and you're looking at arguably four of the greatest footballing nations ever assembled at this stage of a single tournament. Argentina, Spain, France, England. On pure paper, this might be the deepest semifinal lineup in World Cup history. No shock package, no dark horse that stumbled through. Just four teams who earned every single inch of this. Let's start with the match that carries the weight of history on its back. England versus Argentina. Because if you think this is just a football game, you have fundamentally misunderstood what you're watching. This rivalry carries decades of pain, politics, and moments that still give people chills. Cast your mind back to the Azteca Stadium in 1986. Diego Armando Maradona in an England shirt's worst nightmares. 2 goals in one match. The first, the infamous Hand of God, a goal that shouldn't have stood, and yet somehow defined an era. And then 4 minutes later, the goal of the century. One man, starting from his own half, dribbling past 5 England players like they were standing still, and slotting the ball past the goalkeeper with the calmness of a man who had already decided the outcome. 2 goals, 1 genius, 1 match, 1 rivalry that still burns. Now in 2026, the next chapter gets written, and at the center of it for England is a player who, I genuinely believe, is having the greatest World Cup tournament ever by an Englishman. Not greatest in recent memory, ever. Jude Bellingham. Think about what this player is doing right now. He is not a striker, he is a central midfielder. And yet, in the last 2 matches alone, a brace against Mexico at the Azteca of all places, and then a brace against Norway, he has torn through defenses that were specifically set up to contain him. He is already the 3rd highest scoring Englishman in World Cup history. He has done things in this tournament that David Beckham never did, that Wayne Rooney never did, that Lampard, Gerrard, and Scholes never managed. He is not just matching those legends, he is beating their records at 22 years of age. There's a reason Birmingham City retired the number 22 shirt when Bellingham was still 17. The football world laughed at the time. Nobody's laughing now. When you watch this young man play, you're watching a player who understands the game at a level that takes most footballers a decade to develop. He is everywhere, building play, retaining possession, winning headers in traffic, and then arriving late into the box to finish like a born goalscorer. Jude Bellingham is the story of this World Cup for England. But England's campaign, while effective, has not been without its cracks. Thomas Tuchel, in what would be a historic achievement, since no foreign manager has ever won the World Cup with a nation that isn't their own, has ground out results rather than inspired with display. The right-back situation is a mess. Declan Rice's injury left a quality gap in midfield that has been felt. Their second-half performances have dropped off. Tuchel himself lit the room on fire in that post-match press conference after Norway, and even Bellingham pushed back publicly. There is clearly tension in that camp. But here's what I'll say about England. They know how to win ugly, and in a knockout tournament, that is sometimes the only currency that matters. Argentina are in a similar boat, except their chaos feels a little more theatrical. The Cape Verde match should not have been that close. The Egypt game had moments where you genuinely thought it was slipping, and against Switzerland, if that had gone to 11 versus 11 and finished in 90 minutes, anything could have happened. But here's the thing about this Argentina squad. They have the spine of mentality monsters. Come back from 1-0 down, they do it. 2-0 down, they fight. There is a spirit in this group that cannot be measured on a tactics board. And threading through all of it, carrying the emotional weight and the technical brilliance of this entire journey, is the greatest footballer to ever live, Lionel Messi. 9 consecutive World Cup matches with a goal. All-time leading scorer in World Cup history. All-time leading assist provider in World Cup history. Most World Cup matches played by any player ever. And if Argentina go all the way, he could play 2 complete World Cups back-to-back in terms of match count. What Messi is doing at this stage of his career defies every law of athletic depreciation. Julian Alvarez has been dangerous alongside him. Mac Allister and Paredes have done the dirty work. Cuti Romero has been a wall at the back. But let's not pretend. This is Messi's tournament to carry, and he knows it. Now flip to the other semifinal, Spain versus France. And this one is a different kind of battle entirely. More tactical, more surgical. This is a chess match between two of the most complete squads in international football. Spain have only conceded one goal this entire tournament. One. The work of Rodri in front of that defense has been nothing short of extraordinary. A player who spent most of the club's season fighting his way back from injury, who came into this tournament without full match sharpness and has proceeded to dominate every single midfield duel, every passing lane, every transition phase like he never missed a day. Most passes, most line-breaking passes, most aerial duels won. Rodri is immovable, and alongside him, Pedri pulling strings in the middle, Kubarsi growing into the tournament as one of the finest young center-backs on the planet, and Oyarzabal providing that clinical edge up front. Then there's Lamine Yamal, still only one goal in this tournament, and yet every time he picks up the ball in that right channel, you can feel the electricity in the stadium change. The dribbles are there, the chance creation is there, the skill is undeniable. He is still finding his best form, and frankly, that is the most frightening thing Spain could offer, that Yamal hasn't even peaked yet. On the other side, France under Deschamps have been a machine. Not beautiful football, not flowing romantic football, a machine. Kylian Mbappé with 8 goals in this tournament alone, doing what he always does at the biggest stage, delivering when it matters most. Michael Olise with 5 assists already, operating in a number 10 role with the kind of freedom and intelligence that is genuinely surprising, given he's doing it in a Griezmann-style position, which is nobody's natural territory but his own. And Ousmane Dembélé, whose goal in the last match was the kind of finish that stays in your head for days. France have not been tested severely in this tournament. Their path has been relatively comfortable, but you do not beat the teams they have beaten without being a very, very good football team. So who goes through? If I'm being honest with myself, looking at the quality of squads, the form, the tactical options, the experience in knockout football, I see France versus Argentina as the final that this tournament deserves, a rematch of 2022, perhaps the greatest World Cup final ever played and one of the greatest sporting events of the modern era. The thought of those two meeting again in a World Cup final is almost too good to be real, but we are not there yet. England have a genuine case. If their players show up and Bellingham has another one of those nights, Argentina will know they have been in a game. Spain, with Rodri at the base of everything, could absolutely shut down France's transition and suffocate Mbappé on the ball. Nothing is decided. That is the beauty of it. What I will say is this: we are down to 4 matches left in this tournament. We have watched over 100 World Cup games to get here. We've seen goals that made us stand up out of our chairs. We've seen upsets that made no sense. We've seen individual moments of brilliance that you will remember for the rest of your life. And somehow, the 4 best teams have made it to the final weekend. The World Cup has not disappointed us. Let's see if it can end the way it deserves to end. Drop your predictions in the comments. Which final do you want? Which 2 teams make it out of these semifinals? And most importantly, who has been your player of this tournament? Let me know. I'll see you for the match previews. Don't miss them.